All right, Jamey, how about a couple of your favorite sleepers?
Yeah, one is somewhat obvious, but that's Chase Brown. He's going to be somebody I draft quite a bit of. I've done it now, 2 of the 3 drafts I think we've done in the last month, and just excited about the opportunity. I think Zach Moss is going to get the first crack at it. That makes a lot of sense. Bringing him in. Zach Taylor talked about how he's a fit for their scheme because they do a lot of running out of shotgun. It's something he's done well in Buffalo and in Indianapolis. But I'm always going to skew toward in the case of a situation like this where it's not an established guy, let's say like a Derrick Henry coming in, it's a guy that I still think needs to prove himself in Moss, because when he had this opportunity before in Buffalo, he flopped as the starter, couldn't stay healthy. And so, Cincinnati, are they signing him based on basically a 5-game stretch? That could be the case, but I think they like the fit. But in any case, I think the situation for Chase Brown sets up that he could be the best running back in Cincinnati, and he's somebody that I want to have on a lot of my fantasy rosters.
And he couldn't make Heath's list because he went 99th.
Not a sleeper.
One more that you want to talk about, Jamey?
Another guy that I draft a lot of, and I hate to, expect an injury, but is Elijah Mitchell. In the event that there is an injury in San Francisco, he's going to be a very prominent fantasy option and someone that will be a must-start guy. I mean, we saw it in his rookie campaign when Raheem Mostert got hurt, and he was the guy for the 49ers for the majority of that season. And obviously, the system's great. He's, at least as of now, the second guy on the depth chart. And so McCaffrey's coming off a season where he had a ton of work, and he's getting to that point in terms of age where you have to be a little bit concerned. Now, nobody is saying he's going to fall off if he stays healthy, or expect him to fall off if he stays healthy. I mean, it could obviously happen, but we're clearly ranking him as the best player in fantasy. But obviously, the next man up is somebody that you want to have on your team. So he keeps falling to a spot where anytime he's available, I draft him, and very interested to see what would happen if he does get a chance to start. Let's use Dave's analogy of McCaffrey wins the lottery. Elijah Mitchell is potentially a top 10 caliber running back.
I don't want, if Christian McCaffrey won the lottery, do you think he'd retire? I don't even think he would. I think he'd just keep playing.
He's pretty much won the lottery in life.
Right now, right? Yeah.
Everything about his life is very fantastic.
I wouldn't mind being Christian McCaffrey. I want to know, Jamey, just going back to Chase Brown, who you took 99th overall. You took him ahead of Chuba Hubbard and Zach Charbonnet and Gus Edwards.
You're talking about which draft? A PPR draft? Because half PPR, you drafted him.
Post free agency, I think it's PPR.
Yes, because remember I told you it happened in the half PPR one. I was debating 2 guys we already talked about. It was Kyler Murray or Chase Brown. I didn't have a quarterback. 2 teams behind me did not have quarterbacks. And so it was killing me not to take Chase Brown and just say, okay, I'll figure out the quarterback situation. But I was like, let me just do something smart for a change, and I'll take the quarterback and guarantee myself some quality production there.
Well, a couple of things that are a little troubling here. One thing that's troubling. I do want to know why you took Chase Brown over Charbonnet and Gus Edwards and Chuba Hubbard. But also, this league, this post-free agency mock draft, this is a league that Jamey set up the draft, but it was a draft that we also did the year before as a mock draft. So he just used the same league. I went, and we didn't play it out or anything, but I went 0-12-1 in that league last year. We never made any roster moves or anything. Just we drafted in March.
Well, the funny thing is that I think I told you that I went 15-0 in that league. Yeah. And the only reason I saw it was because when you open up a league that you haven't touched, and if it's still set up, I was playing RJ White in the championship game, and I won. And so I was like, oh, let me go look at my roster. And I saw it when I opened up my roster page. I was 15-0, and it was because I had Josh Allen, Christian McCaffrey, Mike Evans. There was another big-time receiver there. Ayuk, maybe? I don't remember. It was a very stacked roster.
Jerome Ford. Let's see, I have some Jerome Ford stats here somewhere. I think he was the number 13 running back in fantasy from weeks 2 through 17. Week 1, Nick Chubb played. Week 18, they kind of sat their starters. So number 13 running back overall, but about 20th per game from weeks 2 through 17, Jerome Ford. And that was with Kareem Hunt having a pretty significant role, and Kareem Hunt getting almost all of the goal line work too. Anyway, we know Nick Chubb is coming back, but we know he's coming back from a major injury. What are your thoughts on Jerome Ford?
I mean, you said it. He was very good last year. He's on a team that's still going to be very good offensively. The situation for him may be very good early in the season, and who knows how things unfold for Chubb based on how the recovery goes. But in any case, he's not an afterthought by any stretch. But I think more people are going to get excited about Nick Chubb coming back. I mean, we've had several discussions on this show already about when should he be drafted, how high should he be on Chubb. He's still going to be, we've seen this comment a lot, still going to be elite because he's one of the best running backs in football. And I hope that's the case. But 28, going to be 29, coming back from that type of surgery where he had MCL surgery at first, then the ACL surgery, later in the year after getting hurt in week 2. Who knows when he'll be ready to go, or be ready to go at full strength. So I think there'll be some moments for Ford while Chubb is working his way back. And who knows how the rest of the year will go. But he's somebody that I will draft a lot of because I think he could end up still being the best running back in Cleveland, because I'm very pessimistic about Chubb being back to form at this point in his career.
Right, but what if Chubb just plays? What if he's not even that good? Are they going to bench him? You know what I mean? It's like I feel like Ford can only hit if Chubb is on the PUP list or gets hurt again.
It's a fair point. And we'll have to see it play out. But we've seen Chubb lose playing time to Kareem Hunt when he was at his peak. So, Stefanski, I think, will hopefully do the best thing for his team, not necessarily the best thing for a guy who's been, a pretty good fixture in the franchise, a pillar of the franchise. But if Nick Chubb can't get the job done because he's not right, I would imagine he goes to Jerome Ford. And you got to factor in Deontay Foreman too. He's part of this backfield too. But I think Ford will end up being, for a stretch of the season, the best running back in Cleveland, whether that's because Chubb's on the PUP list or because he's just not effective.
Trio of wide receivers that Jamie put on his sleepers list: Jameson Williams, Marvin Mims, and Josh Downs. So, yeah, these are fun names here. Is that how you rank them? Jameson Williams, Marvin Mims, Josh Downs?
No. Williams, Downs, Mims.
Doing a Google search right now. Is NC State the worst Final Four team? They can't be. Wasn't like Loyola Chicago one? Did they make the Final Four?
I mean, Larenega's team to get there
George
first.
Mason, yeah. Anyway, okay, so how do you rank them again? I wasn't listening.
I have it ranked Jameson Williams, Josh Downs, and Marvin Mims.
And how many of them do you think should be top 100 picks?
If the Lions don't add a receiver, I think Jameson Williams should absolutely be a top 100 pick, and Downs is not far behind that.
Yeah, Williams went in round 8. Josh Downs went around 11 in our draft, and Mims went a little bit after Downs. He went the first pick of round 12. Heath, what's your read on these three?
I agree with the order of ranking. I was a pretty big Mims guy coming out of school. I lost a lot of faith in Sean Payton last year, and maybe it was all Russ's fault. But now, what's the plan at quarterback? And do I really believe that even if he likes Marvin Mims as much as he's talking about it, he's going to give him more than 3 or 4 targets per game? So I'm sour on Marvin Mims, but I like the player. I think that the upside is still absolutely there. Jameson Williams is the one guy who you can still kind of hold on to that belief that if everything broke right, he might be a league winner at the cost.
I hope Marvin Mims becomes more than just a deep threat. That's what he was, but now they have a void to fill with Jerry Jeudy on the Browns. Jameson Williams, one thing I meant to look up was his snap counts. Has he ever really been what his snap counts were last year? He never even reached 70%. So until the playoffs, and he crushed it in the playoffs. He had 79 yards in 3 games. Obviously didn't do well, but he 72% was the most highest percentage of snaps he played in any game. Josh Reynolds gone. Obviously, you could probably expect a wide receiver to be added for the Lions. Let's see where Jameson Williams went and compare him to some of these players. So in round 8, he went ahead of. Well, he went right after, oddly enough, Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy and Christian Watson. So Watson, Sutton, Jeudy, Jameson Williams. And Heath took Watson. I took Sutton. And then we had Jeudy and Jameson. Jamie, how do you feel about that group of Christian Watson, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Jameson Williams?
I like him better than Jeudy at this point. That might be a mistake, but I think there's such a crowded receiving core in Cleveland that it's hard for Jeudy to ascend to the heights that maybe Williams can, given the situation in Detroit. He takes that offense to a different level if he can ever become the player that he's capable of, because They have an alpha in St. Brown. They obviously have a tight end on the rise in Laporta. They have 2 running backs that can do a variety of things, but they don't really have a field stretcher that can be consistent. And so, will he ever become more than just sort of a gadget slash, throw a couple, fly patterns to? I don't know. I think he can, but this is a big offseason for him. It's a big year for him, going into year 3 after, basically missing his rookie campaign and then the gambling situation and all that, how that all unfolded. So he needs a big season, and it's there for him, given Jared Goff's ability to get multiple guys going. We saw that in Los Angeles with Woods and Cup. I think the play caller is excellent, and Ben Johnson's staying. So there's a lot to love about the situation for Jameson Williams, and hopefully it pans out.